speak today. So I'm Colonel Sonny Avichal. I'm responsible for the Eaton Fire, fire debris recovery for the Corps of Engineers. So for awareness, I'll just give an update on where we stand in terms of numbers, crews, and parcels cleared. I'm also going to talk a little bit about special.
Hi, I'm just checking in. Can anybody hear me? I don't hear the Colonel anymore.
I think he froze.
Yeah, I think he froze. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, let's just give it a second. Let's see if he's able to reinstate his connection. Please stand by. All right. Since we are not having him come back, maybe there's some sort of a back-end technical difficulty. Okay. Very good. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Colonel, no, go ahead.
Our internet's been giving us issues on this side. So I'm going to try and keep it quick. So we have 5,670 rights of entry. As of today, we have 105 debris removal crews. And in terms of cleared properties, this is where we've removed the fire ash debris. We're at 4,650. We've also, as of today, returned the rights of entry back to the county for 2,950 properties. We continue to clear around 60 properties per day. And then briefly, I'll talk about some of the special inclusion properties that we have. So these are for a variety of reasons. These are properties that have been included in our debris removal mission. So we have the Altadena Park, so that's Farnsworth Park, Charles White Park, and the Eaton Canyon Nature Center. Those projects are actually undergoing right now, debris removal. Then we have the Lifeline Fellowship, the Pasadena Jewish Temple, Altadena Senior Center. We have the Bunny Museum that's now included in the program, Pasadena Waldorf School, Pasadena Church of Christ, the Pasadena Police Department Training Center, and then the Sukya Mahakari Spiritual Development Center. So again, these are special inclusion properties that where the rights of entry have gone through the county and have been approved by FEMA for us to conduct debris removal. Okay, that concludes my presentation. I'll be standing by if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. We will now segue to receiving an update and information on how permitting is progressing in Altadena. We have several representatives from the county, including the Director of Regional Planning, Amy Bodek, followed by from the Department of Public Works, Kiara Burnett and Luis Ramirez. Director Bodek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm actually going to introduce Luis and Kiara. They're going to speak first, and then I'm going to follow up towards the end of our joint presentation. So Kiara and Luis, take it away.
Thank you, Amy. So if we could move on to the next slide, I would like to start by informing you that LA County has created a single permit application for rebuilds. We've streamlined the application process by creating one unified application for all permitting departments, including county fire, public health, public works, and regional planning. Eaton Fire survivors can submit rebuilding permit applications either online at epicla.lacounty.gov or in person at the Altadena One Stop Permit Center, which is located at 464 West Woodbury Road, Suite 210 in Altadena. All departments are committed to expediting reviews. Rebuild projects will be reviewed within 10 business days for initial reviews and 5 business days for any additional reviews. The Department of Regional Planning is currently averaging 3 business days to process plans and the Department of Building and Safety at Public Works is averaging 5 business days for reviews. Applications are internally routed to all county departments for concurrent reviews, which removes the burden of following up with each department from the applicant. And if we could move to the next slide, please. Turning to our permit progress dashboard, which is located at recovery.lacounty.gov rebuilding. This particular slide shows for both fires, for both the unincorporated area of the Eaton Fire and Palisades, but I'll specifically speak to the numbers for the Eaton Fire. So as of noon today, planning have received 480 rebuild applications for Altadena and have cleared 277. This means that 277 projects have been cleared for what they plan to build and where on their site. 127 property owners are in the building review process. What this means is that 127 property owners have submitted their full building plans and progressed for review of how the structures are proposed to be built. To date, 10 rebuild permits have been issued for the Eaton fire burn area, and projects have averaged 41 days from the initial date of application to the date the permits were issued. And so that concludes the timeline progress. And now I'll turn it over to Luis Ramirez to talk about an exciting new program that we launched today.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I think if we could go to the next slide, please. Luis Ramirez with LA County Public Works. And today I wanted to talk to you about a program that launched today, which is our self-certification pilot program. As everybody knows, and as we briefed at these meetings, the county has been looking for ways to streamline the plan approval process. A couple of weeks ago, we launched the pre-approved plan program, for which architects and engineers can submit their plans, which are essentially base plans that get pre-approved by both planning and public works, building and safety, which can then be site adapted and resubmitted for specific individual unique projects. The goal of that program is to, once a plan is pre-approved, it'll reduce the amount of time that it takes for us to approve the plan when it's submitted for your project. So as was mentioned, we launched another program that is intended to reduce the amount of time that it takes you and your design professional to obtain a building permit, and that is the self-certification program. This program applies to rebuild projects within both the Palisades and Eaton Fire impacted areas. And it specifically applies to residential buildings, single-family homes, garages, or any other structure on the lot or parcel that was damaged by the fires. It needs to be in unincorporated area within Public Works jurisdiction, as we will be the ones issuing the permit. So it's important for you to check to make sure that you are in an unincorporated area and not within an unincorporated city. It's also important to note that the program applies to building plan review only. If you opt to go for this program, your architect still has to go and obtain approvals from regional planning, fire, and if applicable, the Department of Public Health for a septic system. So it really applies to the building plan review component. Architects and engineers have to register for the program. There is information in the LA County Recovery website on how to do that and how to fill out the form. In order to be able to register for the program, they have to be licensed in the state of California, have been in good standing with the state for the past 5 years, and have done work within LA County for 3. The reason we have that requirement is that we want to make sure that your design professionals are familiar with the LA County Building Code and with the process for obtaining a permit through LA County. Once folks are registered, they will be listed on the recovery website. And at that point, homeowners can partner with those architects, engineers to self-certify their projects. The process will require the architect, engineer, and the homeowner to submit a self-certification form, acknowledgement form, that essentially acknowledges that they are going to be submitting their project for building plan source certification, and that both the architect, engineer, and the owner understand the risk of moving forward with that path. And some of the risks could potentially include uh, mistakes that the architect has made on the drawings that require us to, once construction start, redesign components and have the architect engineer resubmit the building and safety for review. We will be doing, to make sure that the work actually does comply with the code, we're going to be doing audits of the program, which will be approximately 25% of all the plans that are submitted. Our goal right now is to audit the very first submittal from an architect engineer, and then approximately do 20% as the program continues. Let's see. We hope in the near future to be able to have a list of folks sign up for the program and to begin posting the list of approved architects on the recovery website over the next couple of weeks. And that is the extent of my update on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. If we could go to the next slide. I just want to give a couple of updates related to our pre-approved plan program that Luis did talk about. Since we announced our pre-approved plan program, we have had 19 separate applications submitted to the Department of Regional Planning for consideration for that program. 10 of those 19 plans have been reviewed, and comments have been provided to the architects who submitted those. One of those 10 actually submitted a complete set of architectural plans, and so that one application is currently being reviewed by Building and Safety. Once that one application is fully reviewed and it's ready to go, we will then post that on the website as an available plan for anyone to use and contact the appropriate design professional. There will be, of course, a fee, not to the county, but to the architect who did develop that plan to modify it to your specific site condition. We'll be advertising any available plans that make it through this process on our LA County Recovers website. So again, please keep in touch with that website throughout this whole process. As we previously mentioned, I believe last week, Kira reviewed our Resilient Rebuild Guide that is on our website. So again, please check in with LA County Recovers because we will continue to add and update that website with more information on a very, very frequent basis. The Resilient Resource Guide provides opportunities for you to add home hardening optional offerings to your home, in addition to any code required compliance measures that are necessary. So we do encourage you to look into that. My last announcement is related to this tool called ArchiStar. LA County has partnered with the state of California and philanthropy and a tech company called ArchiStar to pilot an AI-powered software that will assist in reviewing your site plans for free to all fire survivors of residential single-family properties. This AI tool, we actually just inked the contract on Friday, should be available for the public to use in about 4 to 6 weeks. Between now and then, what we have to do is basically upload all of our code provisions to this AI-powered software. And we have to test it to make sure that it is reading our code correctly and that it is not giving any sort of false solutions or incorrect recommendations. This tool, as I said, uses artificial intelligence to evaluate whether the design complies with our code or not. Once it is available, individuals will be able to kind of test their site plan before they even come to planning, before they even submit an application, and you'll be able to do this for free. It's my understanding that you'll be able to use this tool twice. So you or your designer could run your site plan through this application, see if there are corrections that need to be made, make a revision to your home, and then resubmit it to this software to see if it still if it has resolved any of those compliance issues. Like I said, we anticipate this to go live in about 4 or 6 weeks, but it really does depend on how accurately the software does read our codes. This is just one of several tools, as we just talked about, that are trying to provide options, as many options as possible to survivors so that you can choose which option might be best for you and to try to reduce overall costs of the rebuilding process for all fire survivors. If this tool is successful on the residential single family side, we would look to try to expand it to the commercial properties that need to be rebuilt also. And ArchiStar will be available to all of the jurisdictions, not just unincorporated LA County. So it's available to folks in Pasadena, Sierra Madre. The city of Los Angeles is signing the contract. Obviously, Altadena and the unincorporated Santa Monica Mountains. And then we're talking to Malibu tomorrow to see if they are interested in partnering with this firm as well. Normally, it would cost $200 per application to screen the application. And that is not a cost that a homeowner would normally provide to the county. That cost is actually the cost to use the software. But in this case, philanthropy and the state have come up with the dollars to not only pay for the software, but also pay for the licensing fee that they would normally charge all applicants. I believe that concludes our presentation. If we could go to the next slide, just so I can make sure. And on behalf of LA County Regional Planning and LA County Public Works, we thank you and we're available for questions later.
Thank you so much, Director Bodek. And again, a gentle reminder, the resources that were shared regarding permitting and the other information, that recovery website where that information will be posted, the URL is recovery.lacounty.gov. So please bookmark that if you haven't already. Moving on, our next presenter comes from the Department of Public Health to address public health soil testing, the rollout and implementation of that service, and any other public health updates. We have as our presenter, Dr. Nicole Quick.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Quick. I'm the Chief Medical Advisor with the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. Today, I am going to spend some time talking about what we're doing in response to soil testing results, some of which we shared most recently last week at this meeting. All right, next slide, please. So last week, Dr. Love did share at this meeting the results from the stage 3 soil sampling effort, which was the results that came from testing that was done on destroyed parcels. I just want to highlight a couple of findings that we had from that. First was that the results did show that parcels with destroyed structures in both fire areas can still have areas where the concentration of chemicals in the soil can exceed the residential screening levels. Knowing that, we are recommending that people consider soil management as part of any rebuilding efforts. This may include an assessment by environmental professional. Additionally, results from soil sampling on intact parcels has revealed a higher average lead concentrations in areas downwind and just outside of the Eaton Fire area. All right, next slide, please. Given these findings, we do want to kind of talk a little bit about what the chemicals that we found, particularly lead, and what that might mean. So just as a reminder, lead is a potent neurotoxin, and even at low levels, exposures can affect development and learning and behavior in young children who are particularly susceptible. Lead exposure is not obvious. Symptoms don't show up right away or at all until the damage is done. That's why sort of prevention and early detection is critical. All right, next slide, please. Did want to take just a moment to review the lead results that we have received so far. So you'll see up on the screen the total number of tests that we've done. To date, nearly all of the results have come back below the reference value of 3.5. This includes among children and other high-risk groups. We do have 3 tests that have come back between 3.9 and 5.7. These are all men in their 70s. Our public health nurses have followed up with each of these individuals and have provided tailored guidance and support. I do want to take a minute to talk about that 3.5 threshold. That is not a safety line. Rather, it is a public health signal that someone's level is higher than what is seen in most children across the U.S. It does help us identify and respond to potential exposure early, but I want to reiterate, no amount of lead is considered safe, particularly for young children. We are continuing to offer lead testing and closely monitor. Next slide, please. Let me take a minute to talk about where you can get lead testing done if you would like. We are offering free lead testing to any resident in impacted areas that are concerned about this. Very much want folks with young children or individuals who are pregnant that live near areas that were affected by fires to consider testing. So there are different testing options. You can get a free blood lead test by calling 1-800-LA-4-LEAD. This is offered through Quest Diagnostics. It's completely confidential. We can either help you find a lab test location that's more convenient for you and can help schedule the appointment as well. If you'd rather go to your own doctor, lead is generally considered, standard of care, very important for kids. There's routine testing done in children already, and this is usually covered by both public and private insurance. We are continuing to offer mobile testing at community events. We've been out in various cities, and we'll be back in Pasadena on May 24th. All of these events are walk-up events that are open to all. We are continuing to expand these opportunities and would urge folks to go to the DPH Wildfire website. We regularly are adding new community events for this. All right, next slide, please. Now I want to provide more details about the soil testing program to support residents in the Eaton Fire area, particularly that downwind area. Following a board motion by the Board of Supervisors on April 15th, Public Health was directed to use up to $3 million from the county's lead paint hazard mitigation program to carry out large-scale residential testing. This initiative has actually started this week, and I have a little bit more details to get folks. So essentially, this program is targeted to homes that are downwind of the Eaton Fire, where we saw the most significant findings from the soil sampling that RU conducted. Program is expected to run through December of 2025. 26,000 eligible homes will receive a postcard invitation to participate. The program uses a self-collection model. Residents will be provided with clear instructions on how to collect sample from their own yards. We are not asking folks to mail anything in. Instead, we're setting up local drop-off sites in Altadena for convenience. Samples will be sent then to a certified laboratory, and residents will receive an email 7 to 10 business days later with a link. So the results will come, and there'll be a link to the dedicated web page that helps interpret results and offers guidance on what to do next. All right, next slide, please. So all of this information that I just covered is on the publichealth.lacounty.gov website. If you look for that on the webpage right there for the Eaton Fire Soil Testing Program banner on the homepage, it will take you to the website that you're seeing up on the screen right there. This webpage will walk through the process in simple steps, everything from finding out if your address is eligible, collecting your soil sample, dropping it off, and getting your results. There's also an interactive map on that website that will help you you can type your address in, see if you're in one of the eligible property, if your property falls in one of the testing zones. You'll also on this website find an FAQ to answer some of the most common questions. Additionally, there'll be information on the blood lead testing that you can link to from there as well. And we're trying to make this process as easy and accessible as possible for folks. So I'd urge people to go ahead and go to that website. All right, thank you. That's all I have for now, and I will be available for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Quick. We're going to pivot a bit to addressing now public safety and security issues in the Altadena community and surrounding region. We have a presentation and some remarks by Acting Captain with LA Sheriff's Department, Ethan Marquez. Captain Marquez.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I have a slideshow if it's available. I don't know if it's available.
We'll pull it up. Please stand by. I'm not sure if we received one, but please, if you have, we can provide it always afterwards via the email distribution list.
Well, first of all, I'd like to kind of inform everybody that our preliminary crime stats in terms of burglaries and other property crimes are trending down significantly. We have preliminary numbers. We haven't published them yet, but I think that we're starting to approach a level that we're kind of used to seeing more in Altadena. We've been doing a lot of proactive policing in the area. Obviously, our violent crimes are down significantly because just due to the population, a lot of the population is not returned to Altadena. But so I'll kind of go through some of our proactive policing that we've been doing. On Wednesday, our summer team begins, where we have additional deputies that are just in two-man cars, just out doing proactive policing, and we'll be having several of them come to Altadena from different stations to help us out. We do have the cameras that we've have in Altadena to help us out with investigating crimes that have occurred. Parking enforcement is up. We have a number of different parking enforcement officers. And one of the concerns we have is RVs in the area. And we want to make sure that the RVs are compliant. So if you do have an RV and you're going to be parking it, you can get up to 3 48-hour passes to have an RV. That doesn't give you an opportunity to live in it or stay in it, camp in it, but it gives you the opportunity to use that RV to prepare for a vacation of such, or to prepare to maybe if you're going to get a permit to park it on your lot during your rebuild. So we do have a significant number of parking enforcement officers as well. Our home check program is still up and running. Altadena Home Check at LASD.org. We have Altadena Tips at LASD.org, and that's if you want to send us pictures, videos, some information. If you see something happening, doesn't necessarily arrive as a crime, but maybe something interesting. Maybe you saw something in your area, you didn't think you needed to call us, you can send us a picture or video of that. If you do want to report an anonymous crime, maybe you have a tip to report, but you don't want us necessarily to know it's you that gave us the information. A lot of times with more serious crimes that will be the case. You're going to want to go to LA Crime Stoppers at lacrimestoppers.org, and there's a way to submit anonymously a crime tip. But again, we still have 5 to 15 extra deputies per shift in Altadena conducting proactive enforcement. We're still conducting crime suppression operations. We still have undercover deputies driving around, regular cars. You won't be able to determine who they are. Sometimes even we pull them over, the CHP will pull them over, not knowing that they're actually undercover working. It's very difficult for us to even to know if they're undercover. A reminder too, if you do see a crime occurring, please call 911, or if it's not an emergency type of crime, you can call our business line. But definitely if you see something actively happening, and the reason I mention that is because we do get calls from people or emails from people that they saw something happen the week prior and they thought it could have been a burglary, but now they're calling it in and letting us know that they happen to see something. And we really want to get that information instantaneously as fast as we can. If we do know there's a burglary occurring and you call 911 and tell us, we're going to send cars there code 3 with lights and siren. We're reestablishing the neighborhood watch and block captain program. And that's going to really involve the community to give us more information during the rebuild. The California Highway Patrol is in Altadena. They're conducting significant traffic enforcement. One of the areas that they're really working with us is commercial enforcement. And I just want to remind that we do have a number of trucks in the area that are not associated with the Army Corps of Engineers. They're helping out with debris removal, and those trucks can weigh anywhere from 50 to 80,000 pounds and they're fully loaded. And I've personally seen it happen. The CHP has done a lot of traffic enforcement where they're running stop signs, speeding, and if those trucks are fully loaded and they hit a car, it's likely to have a fatality. So that's why the commercial enforcement are there. They've had to pull over a number of different vehicles, pull them off the road, commercial vehicles, because they're not safe. We're still doing, where our video hasn't been fully edited for trespassing mitigation. So that's a video that we're going to be publishing that's going to tell the public exactly what they should do to help out with trespassing, and then also to help out prevent people from squatting on their property during the rebuild. And if you decide you want to be a volunteer, you can contact us or you can contact the Rotary Club at Altadena, and they're collecting volunteers that can help out once we have more corporate donations to purchase materials to help out. And for those that are less, more financially challenged, we can possibly do it at a discounted rate, or even they can have the nonprofits put it up for no cost to them. That's what we're working on right now. But that will be handled through a nonprofit, not the Sheriff's Department. There's as far as burglary suppression and for your property, please, if you have a doorbell camera and you have internet access, have a doorbell camera at your property. I would install extra cameras inside your home if you're not going to be there, or if your home is vacant, with motion sensors that can actually notify you on your cell phone, your smartphone. If you don't have internet access at your home, please install a game or a trail camera outside your residence. You could even put it inside your home. Those they're very inexpensive today. You can put one up, and it can be it can give you notifications. They connect to cell towers as well, or they can just be hidden, and you can go back and download it. If your house does get burglarized in some manner, or there's people trespassing your property, you'll be able to go in and see when it actually happened, and be able to have a picture of who was there. And you can provide that to us, especially with alternate tips, or if the deputies come out and take a report. And then lastly, some of the community events we're working on right now, these are going to be community events that are going to benefit Altadena and the rebuild and just the community in general. We're working on having a 5K walk run and a 10K in the fall. Once the debris removal is hopefully cleared out, we can have that up and running and have everybody come out and join us. And because the ultra marathon that went from Altadena to Pasadena was so successful, or not Pasadena, Altadena to the Palisades was so successful, there was over 1,000 runners. We'd like to do something like that for the community here. That'll be handled through Altadena Sheriff Station. But on June 21st, we have a bus pool at the Rite Aid parking lot across from the station, and teams can sign up, and they can pull one of our transportation buses that weighs about 50,000 pounds to the parking lot. And we generally have 5 teams of 1 to 5 people do it. There's a donation of $100, or if there's a corporate sponsor, $300, and we challenge each other. We'd love to see the fire department come out, and They can bring out Station 11 or 11s, 12s, 66s, come out and challenge us. But also Public Works, maybe the Department of Mental Health, Department of Public Health, Regional Planning. You guys are all welcome to have teams come out and pull a bus. Anybody from the community, welcome to join a team, create a team and join us. And there's an email address, templestationoutreach@gmail.com, and that's where you can register. You can also do the same day registration, but that's going to be June 21st. That's about all I have right now.
Thank you, Captain, for those important updates. We'll now segue to hearing an update on worker relief and small business / nonprofit grant support that the county has provided. We have as our presenter from the Department of Economic Opportunity, Director Kelly Lobianco.
Thank you, Helen. Good afternoon, everybody. As mentioned, my name is Kelly Lobianco, and I'm the Director of the LA County Department of Economic Opportunity, here to talk a little bit about our LA Region Small Business and Worker Relief Funds. Next slide, please. All right. So in the wake of the January wildfires, at the disaster recovery centers, in our surveys, we talked to many small businesses and workers, and knew the most immediate thing they needed was capital. So we set up within the first 30 days, thanks to a vast public-private partnership, the LA Region Small Business and Worker Relief Funds. As you can see, these are 2 cash grant opportunities for small businesses and workers. On the small business side, we were supporting small businesses and nonprofits who have a revenue up to $6 million and less than 100 employees. And they were eligible for a grant between $2,000 and $25,000, depending on their location. In the fire zone or the evacuation order and worker zone, evacuation order and warning zone. On the worker side, workers who were working in the fire zone, evacuation order and warning zone, but maybe living countywide, were eligible for up to $2,000 in grants. We worked, as I mentioned, with public and private partners. SoCal Grantmakers was our fiscal nonprofit fiscal sponsor. We worked with AidKit as a third-party administrator, and alongside the city and county, we're able to stand up this grant program in less than 30 days. The applications were open on February 6th for folks to apply and access immediate cash relief. Over the course of those first few months, we were able to raise over $20 million for this effort. Next slide, please. To get into a little bit about what we found, the applications were open for a little over a month for folks, and we had over 7,000 small businesses and nonprofits apply, as you can see here on the far left. About 3,300 of those were those that experienced some sort of fire impact, but were outside the fire evacuation order and warning zones. So we know that there's a lot of work to do for folks who weren't in those specific geographic areas. The grant program was really for those with the greatest financial impact and fire impact. And so the Department of Economic Opportunity is here to support all those that experienced an economic disruption and will continue to be, but this grant was focused on those with the greatest impact. We were able to award $14.5 million in grants. Those are all dollars that are already out the door. And those went to 1,372 small businesses and nonprofits. That was 39 nonprofits within that mix. For this group here, we wanted to lift up the distribution to those in the Eaton impacted area, and that included $6.75 million in grants. And those went to 690 small businesses and 31 nonprofits. You can see it's sort of in parity with the Palisades fire, and there were some dollars and grants that went to the other fires in the region as well. Next slide, please. For a little bit of information on the grants, if you look on the far left, 711, about 50% of the grants went to home-based businesses. 47% of those also faced a compounding loss of their home. 45% went to brick and mortar, and 44 or 3% went to independent contractors. It was a very diverse group of business and nonprofit leaders, including, as you can see here, 644 were women-owned, but a majority were minority or other-owned. We also wanted to point out that nearly 50% were legacy businesses with more than 10 years, and the majority facing uninsurance or underinsurance. We know that this has been very difficult, and within the first 30 to 60 days, we know is a decision point for small businesses and nonprofits on whether or not they're going to be able to maintain. So really the point of the relief program was to offer some immediate support while we work together in the long term for broader recovery. When you look at the Eaton Fire specifically, the numbers are quite similar to the broader population of awardees, about 60% home-based. Here you can see, though, 94% also faced home loss, 40% brick and mortar, and a very diverse and longstanding business community in need of this financial relief. Next slide, please. On the Worker Relief Fund, we dispersed $4.62 million in grants to 2,309 workers. That includes 337 workers who both lost their job and their home. Similar to the Small Business and Worker Relief Fund, we had a huge number of applicants, over 7,000 countywide. In Eaton, we dispersed $1.9 million to 984 workers. 402 of those, a large percentage, faced permanent loss of employment. It's important to know that folks lost their work sometimes because of structural loss in the fires, and sometimes because of closure, either temporary or permanent, following the fires. And so while we were looking at temporary and permanent loss, that's still somewhat to be determined. And as you can see, that it's a similar number in the Palisades, and with some support for the Sunset Woodley and Hearst and other fires. Next slide, please. To give a little bit of detail on the Worker Relief Fund, if you look at the total awarded, one of the considerations, the first and foremost, again, just like the small business and nonprofit side of the fund, was to provide relief to those most impacted and prioritize those most impacted, and also to consider those that would have challenges in bouncing back in the long-term recovery. So here we had 62% of individuals who applied on the worker side were ineligible for unemployment insurance and disaster unemployment insurance, with 10% applying with an I-10 or staff verification. So some vulnerable workers here, 25% sort of self-attested, coming from a diverse population, 25% from a high and highest disadvantaged community, 44% receiving social benefits. So while $2,000 of one-time stimulus, will not cover all of someone's needs, it was helpful in this time. And you can see here on the bar chart the breakdown of race and ethnicity for the workers. You can see on the Eaton Fire just below, again, similar proportions for the Eaton population of awardees of those 900 odd folks. The bar graph, unfortunately, is the same as the one above, but I can share verbally, and we're going to update the deck. When it comes to the race and ethnicity breakdown for the Eaton Fire workers, it was about 36% Hispanic Latinx, 15% Black and African American, 7% Asian, 1% American Indian, Alaska Native, 29% white, 2% other race, and 1% Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander, with some non-reporting. Next slide, please. Well, that's the grant fund. We are really proud to have been able to put out over $20 million to support thousands of workers and small businesses. We, as you saw from the 7,000 number for both the worker and small business fund, we had over 10,000 unique individuals applying for relief. And we have a delta for those who were eligible for the program. And we are still fundraising the Department of Economic Opportunity and our partners at the Center for Strategic Partnerships and SoCal Grantmakers to try to bring, final dollars in to support those who are eligible. So we'll continue to update folks over time. We did want to mention a few things around some other supports for dislocated workers and businesses that are happening right now. The Department of Economic Opportunity did announce about 1 month ago, 30 days ago, $32 million investment supporting another 2,300 workers that were dislocated and in need of job training and job connection. 14.2 million of that through a program with the state's Labor and Workforce Development Agency. These will be supporting temporary jobs in the cleanup and recovery. So we already are working with Public Works, Beaches and Harbors, and Parks and Rec. They've identified 100 positions that they're going to be hiring folks that have been impacted by the fires to support recovery for a 3 to 5 month period. And we also have support through our job centers for no-cost training and connection to work. And we just closed a high road training partnership grant program where we had over 100 partnerships apply to lead training programs across the region for impacted workers among COVID-19 and the fires. We will put in the follow-up to this an open opportunity with Beaches and Harbors that we're hiring for right now. We also, thanks to our partnership with Supervisor Barger's office, are supporting the hire of 500 young adults, 14 to 24, in our Youth at Work program who have been impacted by the Eaton Fire. We will put a flyer in the follow-up as well for folks who want to sign up for that, basically 160 hours of paid work experience for young adults. We'll be opening an Altadena Job Center July of this coming year to make sure that all of these resources are right in the community. And we've been advocating in Sacramento for additional dollars in workforce, including a $50 million investment that passed out of committee. And, we're always hopeful to bring more dollars in. Next slide, please. And then I can close this out. A couple of things that are coming up that we want to make sure folks know about. It is Small Business Month, and so we're supporting 2 small business forums. So we're going to have speakers, panels, workshops on the spot, a resource fair, and we are encouraging small businesses and nonprofits to attend. One is on the 28th, which is at the Pasadena Convention Center, and one is on June 4th, which is at the lot at Formosa in West Hollywood. So we will share information in the follow-up about how to sign up. We're going to be launching a Shop Local campaign that uplifts our small businesses who have been impacted by the Eaton Fire. That will be launching this month, and so we'll be back next Monday to talk about that. We're going to be expanding a commercial acquisition fund. We invested $10 million to help nonprofits purchase vacant properties, and we will be expanding that, and we'll want folks to have access to that information as they're thinking about their next steps. And we're here with all of our partners at Regional Planning and Public Works and others to support navigation through this process, whether it's at the One Stop Permanent Center, Department of Economic Opportunity is there, the Altadena Job Center coming soon, and in partnership with the Altadena Chamber. And I believe that's all from us. Thank you. Appreciate it. And here to answer questions at the end.
Thank you, Director Lobianco. And just a quick follow-up clarification, the 100 positions that you said that are being hired and also the positions through Beaches and Harbor, what's the best way for people that are listening to us today? What's the best way for them to find those positions again? I just want to highlight that information.
Absolutely. So we do have an interest form on our website and a specific flyer for that opportunity. And we'll share that with you, Helen, so we can distribute to everyone after this.
If you could drop that into the chat, that would be amazing. Just that
No
the
problem.
website.
We'll do
Perfect.
it. Bye.
Thank you so much. We're now going to pivot to relief grants that were offered to households and to individuals. That relief program was offered through the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, and it was officially titled the Household Relief Grant Program. We have with us from DCBA, Amelia Faye Berquist, who will provide an update.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. My name is Amelia Faberquist, and I am with the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs and have been supporting the household relief grant efforts since January. Next slide, please. So this is going to be a pretty brief overview and update, not too much to report, but the household relief grant was unrestricted grant dollars that were have been and are being dedicated to survivors of the Eaton and Palisades fires. Who have also been displaced. And so our application opened up in February, it closed in March, and we received over 15,000 applications that we're currently processing. Each grant ranges between $6,000 and $18,000 depending on household size and composition. Next slide, please. Currently, to date, $12 million in grants have been approved, and we're seeing the trends of about 60% going to Eaton Fire survivors and 40% going to Palisades Fire survivors. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we want to make sure everybody knows is that there's for applicants, any applicant whose application was denied, you have a guaranteed re-review. You have to opt in, and you have to do that within 30 days of the initial denial, but we will automatically re-review should you elect to have that additional oversight on your application. Next slide, please. Oh, I think that's it, actually. So anyway, as we continue to review all of the applications, we are turning out about $2 million per week in approved grant funds, the department, as we work with our partners. If you, as an applicant, have any questions, have any support needs, you can call the customer service support line at 888-788-0335. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. And if you wouldn't mind dropping that number into the chat function as well, just so it's accessible. Next, for our final presentation of the evening, we will hear from Treasurer and Tax Collector, who is available to provide updates on adjusted property tax bills. We're joined by Deandria Barajas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to breeze through this presentation, just focus on the high points in light of looking at the clock where we are in the hour. And so again, my name is Deandria Barajas. I'm an Assistant Treasurer and Tax Collector with the Department of Treasurer and Tax Collector. I wanted to just briefly distinguish the role that the tax collector has from our various property tax partner departments. And so I'm going to share that information and then share where we are with providing relief for the fire impacted property owners. Next slide, please. So the Treasurer and Tax Collector's primary responsibility is to bill and to collect. And we do that throughout the year, where annually in October we mail the bills, but then we send bills through every week throughout the year. And that's really important because when we send the bills, we send them to the mailing address of record, unless there's a change of address that's on file with the post office, with the United States Postal Service. And so when there is a change of address, then we will forward a bill to the new address. And I saw that there was a question in the chat regarding change of address and where we would mail the bills. And I just wanted to highlight that. There's some stats here about our volume, and I'll skip through that and we'll go to the next slide, please. So most of us are aware that in January, the governor had signed an executive order, and he basically identified 18 zip codes where there would be fire relief protection that was available to property owners. That ended up amounting to a little bit over 200,000 properties, but there were about 24,000 that were identified as either damaged or destroyed. To date, where we are is we have mailed adjusted property tax bills based upon the role of the assessor, which the assessor has completed reassessment of these properties that were damaged or destroyed, which comes close to around 18,000. And then once the assessor completed that process, then the auditor did a recalculation to determine what the new tax due amount would be. And then the tax collector has started as of last week to send out those adjusted bills and supplemental bills. We've issued about 10,000 so far, and we will have completed issuing all of the remaining bills that have been adjusted within the next week or so. Next slide. So we realized how challenging it had been for some of our impacted property owners to find information about, the property tax process, especially, the timing of the adjusted bills and the relief that was available. And so we've created a dedicated webpage. It's entitled Wildfires and Other Emergencies. And so what we've done is we've collaborated with our partners like we do, on any major event, to include information not only from the treasurer and tax collector, but also information for the assessor. And so if you go to that webpage, you'll be able to find information that links to the assessor's office to find out about the misfortune and calamity claim. The assessor has updated a great video that helps to guide taxpayers through the calculation process for the reassessment. And also they have, we have a link to their property search tool, which will, if you enter your property address or your assessor's identification number, you'll be able to obtain the status of your misfortune and calamity claim. So our role has been to really support the assessor in getting the information out to property owners so that they understood what resources and relief was available to them, and then who to contact to get questions answered. The property tax roll includes secured and unsecured property taxes, and unsecured property taxes are primarily like business personal property, as well as watercraft and aircraft. And so we've also made sure that our business license staff are providing information and updating business owners about their right to delay the payment of their property taxes in compliance with the governor's executive order. And so what the governor basically did was allow for taxpayers to not incur any penalties should they not be able to pay by the delinquency dates. And so taxpayers have until April 10, 2026 to pay their property taxes. So even the bills that we're mailing out now as a result of the reassessments, even though they may be due within 30 or 45 days from the date that the bills were mailed, there will be no penalties incurred should those taxpayers not be able to make their payments prior to April 10 of 2026. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so we realize that there's not, the impacted constituents of LA County are not just those who have lost their home, but there are also people who've lost employment. And so one of the things that we also wanted to make sure that we did was we created a shortcut to be able to submit an inquiry on our webpage, so that if the person had an inquiry about, they lost their employment as a result of the fire, maybe their job was in the fire impacted areas and it was burned down. Those are the types of individuals that would need to request a penalty cancellation. So if they're not able to pay their property taxes as a result of loss of income due to the fires, their employment being lost, then they would be able to submit that inquiry going to our website and following the instructions that we have to identify that it's related to wildfire. We have other self-service options that we really want to make sure that taxpayers, when they visit our website, that they access those self-service links, because we know that it's difficult to reach us on the phone. Looking at the stats from the second slide, we get about 30,000 calls per month, and over 1,000 visitors a week. And so we just really want to make sure that taxpayers understand where they can get information without having to task their time with staying on hold, trying to speak with a live agent. But if you have to submit an inquiry, you can do so on our webpage. And so the next slide provides a list of the various ways in which you can contact our office. And one last thing I'd want to share is that we have deployed a staff person at the assessor's El Monte office. And so if someone is not able to get a hold to us on the phone or at the Disaster Assistance Center, they could go to the assessor's office in El Monte, and we have a representative there to assist. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that. We are just a minute over the allocated time. We were answering questions live during the session, so hopefully we got to your question. I do want to ask one question, just take a little bit of time to ask live one of the ones that was submitted to us in advance, and this goes to LA County Fire. The question is, I'm interested in becoming a FireWise community to help lower insurance costs. How can my neighbors and I go about doing this?
Yep. So thank you for the question, and I was prepared. Seeing that we're running out of time, I'll make this short. So for communities to achieve FireWise USA recognition or certification, communities should follow the National Fire Protection Association or NFPA's structured process. And there's a bunch of steps that you would go through as a community. What I'll do is I'll give you the website that you can go to get this information and put it in the chat also. It's readyforwildfire.org, readyforwildfire.org, and it'll provide you with the steps to apply to become a FireWise community.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief. And that is all the time that we have for today. Again, thank you for joining us. For those of you that are on Zoom, when you exit this meeting, please provide us your email address if you'd like to receive follow-up information. And the questions that we answered during today's session are codified and listed on recovery.lacounty.gov/Altadena. And as a quick reminder, next week, due to the holiday on Memorial Day, we will not have Supervisor Barger's weekly Altadena community meeting, but we will resume this important vehicle and channel for communication with Eaton Fire survivors the following Monday, June 2nd. Thank you all for attending and signing off.